Hey guys, thanks for coming to check out The Real for Teens. This is the second in a series about adolescent anxiety. This one is going to be about what the research is showing about adolescent anxiety. And because I am a dork educator, I'm a little bit excited about this one because I know that for most of you guys in school, doing research is like, oh God, it's kind of the drudgery and it's not that exciting. But I like to think that looking at this data, looking at what the research is saying about what is probably going on with you, might actually bring it to life and might actually spark something like, oh, I can see why doing research actually can be really interesting and relevant to my life. The first stuff I want to tell you about, what the research is saying about adolescent anxiety today, is coming from a Washington Post article called Why Kids and Teens May Face More Anxiety These Days. Hey, that's a perfect title. And that's from May 10th of 2018. Kids' own reported feelings of anxiety are increasing dramatically. That's different from what doctors say because doctors only get their information from kids that are brought into doctors' offices, right? So if kids don't tell their parents they're anxious, then their parents don't tell the doctor. But when surveys are asking kids themselves how they're feeling, that's what I'm looking at here because that's what I think is most accurate. It's what you guys are saying. Okay, so the National Institutes of Health does a survey of, I don't have the number of kids, but thousands of kids ages 13 to 18. The most recent National Institutes of Health survey says that nearly 1/3 of adolescents, ages 13 to 18, will experience an anxiety disorder in their life. 1/3 of you guys will experience an anxiety disorder. A research institute at UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles, this research institute has been asking incoming freshmen since 1985 about how overwhelmed they feel. Okay, so for 33 years, UCLA has been asking incoming freshmen, do you feel overwhelmed by everything you have to do? In 1985, 18% of the kids surveyed said, yes, I feel overwhelmed by everything. By 2000, it was 28%. In 2016, 41%. So over the last 33 years, that's a 23% increase. So that's kids themselves saying, I feel so overwhelmed. It's gone up 23%. So it's rising. It's not a yay happy thing, but it's normal. If you feel that way, you're not a freak. Okay, this next batch of information comes from a Time Magazine article, April 9th, 2018. Time Magazine article called Depression on Campus. And that was about the fact that college campuses literally can't keep up with the need for mental health services that their college students need. They can't meet the demand. This is according to the American College Health Association's April 2017 survey. In spring of 2017, nearly 40% of college students said they felt so depressed over the last year that it was hard for them to function. 61% of students said they had felt overwhelming anxiety in the last year. 61. And 10% of college students said that they had seriously considered suicide. Okay, the next stuff I'm going to tell you about comes from NPR Ed, an online magazine. It's from an article called The Perils of Pushing Kids Too Hard and How Parents Can Learn to Back Off. It's from June 11th, 2018. In this article was talking about kids in affluent communities, teenagers in communities that are really high achieving, and there's enough money, if not more than enough money. Kids in these high achieving and affluent towns self-report higher levels of substance use, drugs, alcohol, than inner city kids. And the levels of anxiety and depression that they report are the same, if not higher, than the levels of anxiety and depression in inner city kids. That's probably not that surprising to you guys, but to a lot of adults, that's sort of like, what? No, I thought that kids in rich towns weren't doing this stuff. Yeah, they are. Side note, my theory about majority of the time why kids are using these substances is, well, any kid. I'm struggling, I'm in pain, I need something to cope with it. Let me smoke some weed. So that's what a lot of kids are doing. So, according to all these articles, here are the ways that people are feeling and dealing with this, like, anxiety upsurge in adolescence. A lot of families in affluent communities are not talking to anybody else about it. They're just kind of hiding it and keeping it down the hush because they don't realize that so many other families, so many other kids are struggling with the same stuff. Students report feeling ashamed to go seek mental health services, like on college campus, because it seems like there's a stigma attached with doing that. So families aren't necessarily seeking help, kids aren't necessarily seeking help themselves for the struggle, for the anxiety. And the campus help that is available, at least some kids are saying, it feels really rush, like, okay, hurry up, let's get you better so we can get you out of here and move on to the next kid. What I know from my training as a coach and from my experience as a struggling kid and from working with so many teenagers is really what does work. And what is needed is just to have somebody really, really just listen without judgment. And that's a first step in dealing with anxiety, but it's a really pivotal first step. And we're going to end up talking later on about more strategies and tools, but just throwing that out there. That's what kids are saying they recognize that they need. I just need someone to really listen to me. So here are the takeaways from all of this. Adolescent anxiety and depression is really, really common, and it's increasing and has been increasing for decades. But there are shifts that parents and schools and kids themselves can make to alleviate the anxiety and to deal with it. There is a need for more mental health care. There is a need for seeking help for mental health issues, for anxiety, for depression. We need to take away the stigma and make it so that people aren't ashamed or afraid to go and get that help. And finally, the biggest thing is, dude, if you have this, you're so not the only one. I mean, shit, I have anxiety. Bad. So many people do. So I hope that's a comfort. All right, so next we're going to be looking at some strategies for dealing with this. And then, we're going to look at social media and how that exacerbates anxiety. So come back, follow, share this shit. Bye.